Yes, sir. Ms. Herbert? Here. Dr. Bustles?
Here.
Mr. Brennan?
Present.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Present.
Mayor Rickaman?
Present.
Thank you.
I would like to call Logan and Graydon up to the front to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance, as we got some special guests this afternoon. All right, guys, start us off.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Hey, guys, before you leave, Graydon, Logan, y'all want to tell us who you are and where you go to school?
I am Graydon Smith and I go to Lake Carolina Elementary. I am Logan Smith and I go to, I don't know what I go to.
That's all right.
You go, don't you?
You go, though. Well, thank y'all for being here. Thanks for helping us. Reverend McDowell, will you mind starting us with invocation?
Well, I tell you, after that pledge, I don't know whether or not I can pray after that. Logan and Graydon, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for having a good handshake. After Councilwoman Bustles greeted you all, I wanted to make my way over there just to say hello to this family. Thank you all for being here, and may His grace and mercy shower each one of you. Thank you. Let us bow our heads. Creator and protective God, for your grace and mercy, for the abundance of love and yet the sensitivity that arouses itself within each of us. Touch us in a way that we might do the things that are necessary and needful for this city of ours. Let your Spirit touch us individually and yet collectively. Allow the promise of your presence to always be with us and among us. We ask it and we claim it in His name. Amen.
Amen.
At this time, we will ask for public input related to the items on the agenda as outlined.
Mayor, no one has signed up at this time.
Okay.
Seeing none, Mayor Rickaman, we ask for council to adopt the agenda.
So move.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion, concerns, questions? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Ms. Herbert? Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Council is asked to approve the February 7th, 2023 council meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
So got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any corrections, questions, or concerns? Hearing, seeing none. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item number 2 is our presentation this afternoon, the Bleeding Disorder Awareness Month Proclamation, the Honorable Daniel J. Rickaman, Mayor.
And who's going to be here? That
Mr.
Logan
Whitmore?
and Graydon and everybody. If y'all want to come up as a group, I'm going to read the proclamation and then we'll present it to everybody and give you an opportunity to speak as well. But whereas I, Daniel J. Rickaman, the Mayor of Columbia, South Carolina, are proud to commemorate March 23rd as Bleeding Disorders Awareness Month in the state of South Carolina. This designation will formalize and expand upon the federal designation 36 years ago in March of 1986 and in 2016, where the entirety of bleeding disorders community came together and encompassed all bleeding disorders. The Federal Department of Health and Human Services designated March 16 as the National Bleeding Disorders Month, whereas bleeding disorders which share the inability to form a proper blood clot are characterized by extended bleeding after injury, surgery, trauma, or menstruation, can lead to significant mortality and can be not treated effectively. Many individuals with hemophilia became infected with HIV and hepatitis C in the 80s due to the contamination of blood supply and blood products. This Awareness Month in Columbia will generate a greater awareness and understanding not only of hemophilia, but all inheritable bleeding disorders, including Willebrand disease and rare bleeding disorders, which affects millions of individuals around the world. This Awareness Month will foster a greater sense of community, shared purpose among individuals and inherently bleeding disorders. The Awareness Month will elevate the awareness of and engagement in inheritable bleeding disorders journey beyond our community to the general public, enabling the prevention of illness and unnecessary procedures and disability. So therefore, I, Daniel Rickeman, Mayor of Columbia, along with City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2023 as Bleeding Disorders Awareness Month in the City of Columbia. Y'all want to go ahead and say a few words, and then we'll present y'all with the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor Rickerman. My name is James Whitmire, and I'm part of this bleeding disorder community. Probably one of the oldest in the state at this point. These young men here, they also are affected by hemophilia as well. Thank y'all for the proclamation. Our executive director, Ms. Sue Martin, this is something that she's a strong advocate for this community. And throughout the state of South Carolina, we are certainly trying to bring more awareness to the bleeding disorder community, whatever that might be, and that's hemophilia, von Willebrand, and a number of other bleeding disorders that exist in the state of South Carolina. So we do thank you for this proclamation. Thank you for the support, and certainly look forward to being of service to this community. Thank you.
Did y'all want to say a few words?
Just to echo Mr. Whitmire's comments, I found through research with our organization there are 28 families in Columbia that are bleeding disorders. And on behalf of our organization and those families, I just want to thank y'all for recognizing our community and bringing awareness. Thank y'all very much.
Well, if there's anything else that we can do to bring awareness, help promote, make sure people know about what resources are available and how to discover if they have issues or where they can go, please let us know. We'd like to use our social media or any of our media outlets to make sure that message gets out.
Mayor, can I add?
Yes.
I want to thank y'all for keeping this awareness up. I have von Willebrand's, and I wasn't diagnosed till in my 30s. So it was kind of, I guess it was good not to know, but I'm amazed. I'm imagining there's several people who don't know potentially that they have these disorders until it's really problematic. So continue to notify people and make sure that they're aware of it. It can be a pretty scary situation sometimes.
Undiagnosed is a scary situation. So if you have any concerns, there's our website is Bleeding Disorders Association of South Carolina. Love to see you get involved.
Okay.
I think she got voluntold.
Thank y'all again.
they're so cute. It makes me excited about having a boy.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah, I told him.
At this time, we will entertain the consent agenda items 3 through 9.
So move.
There's a motion.
Second.
Any questions, concerns, comments on any item for us? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, that means let's read the roll.
All right, Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Ordinance's second reading, item 10, ordinance number 2023-030, consenting to the inclusion of property in a multi-county
moved.
industrial
Second.
business park.
There's a motion and a second. Any comments, concerns? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
No.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Ordinance's first reading, item 11, ordinance number 2023-038, consenting to the inclusion of property in a multi-county industrial business park, project Sequino, in Richland County. This was referred out of the Economic and Community Development Committee with approval.
I think both of those projects were. Is there a motion?
I move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments, concerns? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Beginning a public hearing and first reading of zoning and planning matters, item 12, an annexation, future land use map amendment and zoning map amendment for 5900 Indian Mound Road, and I'm sure Ms. Hampton can assist with any of these items.
As Ms. Wilson indicated, your first item is an annexation. It's a single-family residential parcel on Indian Mound Road.
We have
We don't
no
have that yet.
video.
Is it coming up now? Just a second. They are on it.
Just bear with us for a minute. We got a little technical difficulty on our end. There we go. Thank you.
So annexation of 5900 Indian Mound Road, a request to annex the property, assign a land use classification of urban edge residential large lot, and a zoning of single-family residential large lot.
Is there anybody here to speak for or against this item? Guess not. So, Mr. Brennan, this is your district.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Not hearing any discussion or seeing any. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Yes.
Thank you.
If council chooses, you can take 13 and 14 together. They both relate to 1008 South Ott Road. It's a future land use map amendment and zoning map amendment for previously annexed land. It's a request to confirm the future land use classification of urban core residential small lot and confirm the zoning of RM1 in the floodplain overlay.
So 13 and 14 are together.
Yes, so they concern the same parcel. If you wish to take them together, you could.
Is there anybody here to speak for or against this item? Hearing, seeing none. Once again, Mr. Brennan, this is your district.
Thank you, sir. Motion to approve.
We got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, that'd be item 13 and 14.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Your final item is an amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance. This is known as a text amendment. A request to amend the ordinance concerning DDRC, that's Design Development Review Commission membership, to add an individual with demonstrated preservation experience as one of the professional qualifications.
So moved.
Is there anybody here to speak for or against this item? This is a public hearing. We got a whole bunch of people signed up. Is anyone on any of these issues?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
That concludes your zoning public hearing.
Thank you, Krista.
Item 16 is a public hearing and ordinance first reading, ordinance number 2023-037, amending the 1998 Code of Ordinances of the City of Columbia, South Carolina, Chapter 5, Buildings and Buildings Regulations to add Article 9, Short-Term Rentals.
And the public hearing today around the short term today is around the fee structure. Is there anything that we need to add to that, Madam City Attorney? Mr. Hatcher?
I think we've been over it, sir.
Thank you,
Good
Mr.
afternoon,
Hatcher.
Mayor, members of council, Ms. Wilson. For those that don't know, my name is David Hatcher. I'm the housing official for the City of Columbia, in charge of the Code Enforcement Division. I'm not sure, do you want me to do like a full presentation or just give you like a meat and potatoes of it, or?
I think the meat and potatoes,
Okay.
skip to the dessert.
Skip to the dessert.
I think we've cooked this goose a few times.
Yeah. Well, essentially, we've modeled a lot of things that we could after the current existing rental ordinance that we have. The major difference with the short-term rental ordinance is we're going to require a business license. We already require with our long-term rentals that they have to meet all city codes. We are requiring that a safety inspection needs to be available upon request if we have a property we need to see. We're asking that they maintain records for the past 2 years. They don't have to provide those to us unless we ask for them, but they do need to maintain the records. They must provide a 24-hour contact who's willing to take phone calls day or night. Permit numbers must be included in all the advertisements when they publish on these websites. They need to make sure they include our permit number that we provide. They must designate at least 2 parking spaces. There's a maximum occupancy of 2 adults per bedroom, plus 2 additional adults. Identity verification, we ask that the owners are confirming that whoever they rent to, whoever books online, are the people that are actually staying at the residence. And then neighborhood notification, whenever there's a new STR, we're asking that you notify the adjacent residences of what location the STR is and provide your contact information. The ordinance, we're given 120 days after the passage of the ordinance to actually get your permit. We are going to have a 30-day, there's proposed a 30-day window before it actually goes live to make sure we have time to get our processes in place. So I guess effectively 150 days everybody would have to get registered.
And that's all dependent on us being prepared.
Yes, sir. I
So
believe
the
that
date
30-day.
will move as we get prepared.
Yes, sir. I believe that 30-day window will give us time. The good news is we've already kind of been through this with the rental ordinance, so we're literally going to take a lot of what we've done with that and copy those systems and use it for this short-term rental ordinance. Like the short-term rental ordinance, we also require a local registered agent if they're outside of the 45-mile radius of the city. And it is one permit per unit, just like the rental ordinance. They'll be renewed. The permit will be renewed annually on July 1st every year. The fees, there are some annual fees. There's a $50 application fee. There's a $100 registration fee for the owner-occupied short-term rentals, a $250 registration fee for the non-owner-occupied short-term rentals, and there's a $100 fee for late registrations, anybody after July 1st. Similarly to the rental ordinance, we're going to have a point system set up. We've modeled it just right after that. It's 15 points on the long-term rental ordinance. It's going to be 15 points for the short-term rental ordinance. Same process. First offense of a city violation is 1 point. Second offense is 5 points, and each offense thereafter is 5 points, with a maximum of 15 points. If you get to the 15 points, then you would go through the revocation process. Literally identical to the rental ordinance that we currently have in place. It's kind of it in a nutshell.
Good nutshell.
Thank you,
Is there any
David.
questions or give more detail?
Thank you. I think we'll be opening it up. Do we have a list, ma'am?
Mayor, we have about 7 individuals who have signed up to speak. We would like to remind all speakers that the time limit is 3 minutes. There's a timer. When it turns yellow, they have 30 seconds remaining. When it beeps, we ask that they conclude their comments. So at this time, we would ask Ms. Amy Clifford to come forward.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am here before you today, having attended several of the working group sessions of the City Council. Unfortunately, I was not aware of the change in the shift of this proposed ordinance until right before the last session of the subcommittee. I did submit a letter to them, but it was last minute. Today, I want to emphasize some of the comments I submitted to you in my January 8th letter that was emailed to each of you, as well as the city clerk and the city attorney. I speak in opposition to allowing STRs in residential areas. I think the primary problem with that is it's going to change the character of our neighborhoods. Right now, Columbia is a city of neighborhoods. We know our neighbors. Where there are rentals, even some of the long-term rentals, we've had issues. The Shandon area particularly has had issues with their long-term rentals. Short-term rentals are going to cause even more problems because they will be changing the character of our neighborhood from a residential area to a commercial area. It will be like living next door to a hotel. You could possibly have your house next door rented out to different people each night of the week. If it's a 5-bedroom house, they can have 12 people in that house. Those 12 people can drive 12 cars. So they could park in the driveway because they have to have at least 2 parking places. But then they could park on the street. There's not going to be any limitation of that. That's going to increase the traffic in our neighborhoods where we have young children and others who are not only walking, but walking in neighborhoods where we don't necessarily have sidewalks. So they have to walk on the edge of the street. I would point out that under our home occupation ordinance, you require that any home occupation minimize the impact of that traffic on the neighborhood. But yet those same requirements are not being put in for short-term rentals. I'm also concerned because you have not taken into account the possibility that you could have someone who's required to be on a sex offender registry stay in a house. Under state law and city ordinance, if you are required to register on the sex offender registry in our state or another state, you can't live in South Carolina within 1,000 feet. You can't reside within 1,000 feet of a recreational facility for children, a daycare center, a school, or park or public playground. Yet there's nothing in this ordinance to prevent those people from staying right next door to one of those locations or neighborhoods. I would also encourage you to consider decreasing the number of permits. Savannah only allows 6% short-term rentals in residential areas. Other cities don't allow any, Greenville, for example. Other cities like Dallas are going to make it be a referendum for their community so they can decide what they want to have in their cities.
Thank you.
Oh, I apologize. Mr. Elvin?
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Elvia. I just moved from Florida to here 12 months ago. I have a lot of good things to say about South Carolina and Columbia. I'm here because of the meeting of Airbnb. I've been doing Airbnb for more than 10 years, almost from the beginning in Florida, and now here. I own my home, and the rental of my guest room have brought me extremely good experience. I can only say great experience. I don't rent my whole home whole. I just rent the guest room. And it's had helped me financially in many ways. I can only say good things about Airbnb and the experience of meeting people all over the world, sharing the economic. These people they can bring a little hassle in some houses when there's a kind of no control, but they also bring a lot of income to the towns because they rent cars, they go to a restaurant, they really spend. A lot of people I have, they come to the graduations of the Fort Jackson. Many people cannot afford hotel prices, so that brings a lot of economic, and we pay taxes because that's an income. But in my case, it has tremendously helped me because I am a retired person. For reason of health issues, I have to retire, and my income is not enough for my retirement. So Airbnb have really helped me tremendously. That's all I can say.
Thank you for
Nice
being
meeting
here.
you. I'm sorry I'm not dressed well. I compare with a lot of people there. So
No, we appreciate you
I think
taking
I'm on
the
vacation
time.
in Florida still. I'm so sorry.
It's a little colder than Florida today.
Yeah, I didn't think about this until I'm
Thank
saying it
you.
here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Matt Burris?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Matt Burris. I'm the general manager of the DoubleTree Hotel here in Columbia. And I've come here to just express support for the article as it's written. We appreciate, as a hotelier, having a level playing ground with short-term rentals. I'm not at all opposed to short-term rentals, and I use them as we travel around to different states and everything. But safety and proper reporting of revenues and taxation, ordinances for noise and party houses and minimum age requirements, et cetera. All these things seem to be included in the article. And just wanted to express my full support. So thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks. Rick Lackland?
Good afternoon. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at the DoubleTree Hotel, and just wanted to show support for the South Carolina Restaurant and Lodging Association. I don't think that we are here to say that we don't want short-term rentals. I think that there just needs to be regulations. And so we agree with what the South Carolina Restaurant and Lodging has put forth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hank Davis?
Hey, good afternoon. Hank Davis with the South Carolina Restaurant and Lodging Association. I'm also a resident of the Heathwood neighborhood here in Columbia. And I rise today to encourage council to vote yes on the city's proposed short-term rental ordinance. While I agree that consumers should have a variety of lodging options from which to choose while traveling, I strongly support locally determined, common-sense short-term rental regulations which protect traditional neighborhoods and ensure that our critically low supply of affordable housing is not further depleted. Since short-term rentals are competing for the same guests as traditional lodging establishments, it's important that STRs compete on a level playing field with lodging properties that have had a positive economic impact on Columbia for decades.
Traditional lodging properties must not only comply with safety standards, inspections, licenses, and other regulations not imposed on STRs, but they also must provide transparent accountability and payment for all required fees and taxes. As I'm sure y'all are very well aware of, currently the City of Columbia and 15 other municipalities are in an ongoing lawsuit with several of the online booking platforms regarding the collection and remittance of these same fees and taxes. No longer the traditional model of sharing part of your home with travelers while making some extra income to help with your mortgage, this new and growing investor model for STRs has seen an unanticipated and uncontrolled growth in our city. Without common sense STR regulations on the books, I fear the unintended consequences could have a negative impact on the quality of life my family enjoys living in Heathwood. I applaud City Council for working to address this growing dilemma and ask you again to support the STR ordinance, which will protect Columbia while allowing for STR growth where appropriately zoned and comparatively regulated to the traditional lodging industry.
Thank you.
Samar Magar.
Mr. Magar?
Everybody, I just stopped by today to just see how it's going on. But since I put my name, I just wanted to talk about the STR because I believe that it is inviting all the people from across the state to our state in Columbia or other states. It's very important because we have to be inclusive and not exclusive. So along with that, I think it's very important that we are local and provide job to the local people, for example, cleaner, handyman, carpeting, painters, and also we also invest here in locally. So I believe that in that way that we think that providing short-term rentals in the city or the periphery of the city is important so that we can increase the revenue for the city as well. Also, they provide the option to the guest who can choose whichever way they want to stay, whether hotel, lodging, or short-term rentals. So I believe that short-term rentals is good in terms of because it is kind of privacy. It's one family or a couple of people, and it stay in a way that at a home. So so that I believe that it is better to not restrict the short-term rentals. So that we we can provide the necessary lodging or accommodations to those people who wanted to choose to live wherever they would like to live. So I think that's what I just want to say. I just happened to stop by here and share my thoughts.
Come by anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David Bergman.
Get it together, Dave.
Many of you know me. My name's David Bergman. I'm the owner of the local short-term rental property management company named Heartwood Furnished Homes. My wife can't be here today. Normally she would speak. She's my co-owner, but she's taking care of our newborn.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you. We personally live in Cottontown. Our offices are located in Elmwood Park neighborhood, so this is a very close by to here, and a lot of our rentals are in that neighborhood. We have about 25 employees that work for us in this industry, and my wife and I both quit our jobs to start this business, and so this is a really important topic for us. We've attended all of the subcommittee meetings and all of the different meetings over the course of the last few years, and we've spoken at each of them, and we've spoken to really all of the members of this council on this topic, oftentimes at great length. I do feel the subcommittee has listened to much of our feedback, and I really like to thank the council and the mayor also for taking the time to really understand this issue and to hear from the industry and the neighborhoods. The ordinance has come a really long way over that period, and a lot of that is due to you guys. Initially, the ordinance was proposed to ban all STRs in residential neighborhoods and eliminated probably 95% of the rentals in Columbia. The current ordinance before us today takes a much different approach, and instead of banning them outright, seeks to properly and fairly regulate them so that the bad actors are eliminated and weeded out. In doing so, I really believe that the latest draft does a good job of allowing Columbia to continue to build our tourism industry and support the restaurants and all those other vendors out there who are part of the industry, while also providing legal options for accommodations. Again, the rules I think are good for Columbia and for hosts like us who want to be good neighbors in our own city. I've considered whether I want to be next to a short-term rental and whether this would allow me to, have some sort of recourse if something were to happen next to me that I didn't like, and I think it does. It has very common sense regulations that help code enforcement to enforce common complaints that we've heard throughout this process, and the point system creates that system of penalties that can result in revocation if there are repeat violations. I know a major objective was getting the data. This is what this does. It gets these permits out there, see where these rentals are, see if we're having violations, and allows us to assess that sometime in the future and shape future policy. So that's a huge step forward. I do want to express my support for the ordinance, except for the parking requirements, and I look forward to working with code enforcement on getting our permits if it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
No one else has signed up.
Nobody else has signed up.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval on first reading of ordinance 2023-037, which is the short-term rental ordinance.
Second. Discussion? I would like to, between now and second reading, understand how we address the sex offender piece. I think that's something that hasn't been discussed, and I know when it is a long-term rental or another, there's a requirement that they register for that, but I'm not sure there is for short-term. So I'd ask our legal team to take a look at that so that we could address that before second reading.
I can't hear you.
I think that one of the differences is that the statute deals with where you reside, and the intent is not to reside at an Airbnb. Just overnight stay.
Yeah,
I'm not preempting the legal
I'm not going
department
to
at all.
debate the legal merits, but I would say that we've had to put restrictions on temporary housing for other instances with that, and so I do think there might be something there. I would prefer that we make sure we look at that before we give final reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
could we also, I heard the parking dilemma and how that could very well affect. I want to take a deeper dive into that if we could. Into what? Parking.
Talk about that over between now and second reading.
If we could, yes.
Sir. Any
That's
other
second
comments?
reading, yeah.
Questions? Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Yes, sir. Ms. Herbert? Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 17 under resolutions is resolution number R 2023-025, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between Ginyard Associates LLC and the City of Columbia for acceptance of donated property identified as portions of the property adjacent to the Congaree River from the Ginyard Associates LLC for development of the Columbia Riverfront Gateway.
Mr. Mayor, motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, I got to tell you, this is a very important day. For the last 15 years, this has been a project that's been talked about, stumbled, had some hurdles, and we were able to work together with the Ginyard family to get to this point to move forward for the William Street extension. I want to thank the State House, our representatives who helped secure money, the penny sales tax that's involved in this. I'd like to thank Mr. Brennan for his help. We were able as a city and a city council to come together and get something done in the last 5 months. And it's the beginning of a new day in the riverfront. I'm very excited. With that, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Ms. Herbert? Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item 18 is a business license revocation hearing for Capital Good Eats. Ms. Kelly L. Smith, Business License Administrator.
Good afternoon. I'm the Business License Administrator for the City of Columbia, and I am proposing a revocation of the business license for Capital Good Eats. We learned that there were some fire violations with the building, and it was deemed unsafe. Therefore, we are asking to revoke the license. Letter was sent to the owner, as well as contact via email and calls, and we were unable to get in contact with the owner. That letter defined being, having the license be suspended. So at this time, we are asking for a revocation and asking for you guys to grant that. We're asking for a revocation of the license.
Is the owner in the building? Any representation? Clearly, they're not interested. So with that,
Second.
we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? With that, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Sir, Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other matters, item 19, council is asked to approve the updated City of Columbia Boards and Commissions Handbook.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. I know this has been through committee and has been approved for approval by council. Is there any further discussion?
Just wanted to praise Councilman McDowell for being so collaborative in this process. We've made a lot of streamlining and, been very clear about the ways in which we can get our citizens within the city more involved through boards and commissions. And I think that through our discussions through the Administrative Policy Committee, we have put this handbook in a really good place. It was much needed to revise some of the different guidelines and really make sure that there's consistency across all of the committees. So well done, and thank you to the rest of council for your support.
Mr. Mayor, just a word of thanks to, we started this process several months ago. It has taken us an inordinate amount of time to go through this. Councilman Taylor, of course, was a part of this committee before his passing. And of course, Councilman Dr. Bustles was with us. And of course, when Joe died, our mayor took that place. Our staff has been quite helpful within this process. We bring this document for your care and for your consideration. Other members of council has had an opportunity to go through this document to make the necessary changes. We're done with it. Mr. Mayor, we give it to you for approval.
Madam Clerk?
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan? Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Moving into a period of appointments, item 20, the Mayor Pro Tem for 2023.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Ed McDowell to continue for the rest of the year as Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. I have a subsequent that I would recommend that we nominate Dr. Bustles. When we put this together, Ed had served the year before and had asked him to serve one more year. So he's already served two terms. The idea of this is really to get it rotated. And I appreciate all Ed's service, and he took 2 years, actually a little more than 2 years on in that role, and I think we need to rotate it. So I move forward, put the nomination of Dr. Bustles forward.
All for the question.
Is there any other nominations, comments?
Was your motion seconded, Mayor? I apologize.
Need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Herbert?
We are voting on the substitute motion?
Yes.
No.
Well, no, you're voting on a name, not a yes or a no, right?
Yes. Yes or no? On the substitute motion to appoint Dr. Bustles, correct?
He nominated another person. So we got two nominations. We've got Mr. McDowell nominated and
Right,
Dr.
yes, sir.
Bustles nominated. So you vote on one or the other.
So we're not doing subsequent motion, we're doing between, give who your nomination is?
I believe that's what Mr. Duval's recommendation is. I was taking a vote on the substitute motion.
Because we had a substitute motion because you got a motion with a second. So I had to make a substitute motion because you didn't allow for any nominations forward.
That is correct. I think that's correct. So we are voting on the subsequent motion because there was a second on it, and I'm voting against the subsequent motion.
Dr. Bustles?
I'm voting for the mayor's motion.
Mr. Brennan? Mr. McDowell?
No.
Mr. Duval?
No. That brings up the motion, right?
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. All
Give him
right.
vote.
Now we can return to the main motion, the original motion. Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
No.
Mr. Brennan? Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
No.
Thank you. The original motion passed.
It did. That's why they call it a democracy.
Yes, sir.
Item 21, appointments of municipal court judges.
It's here where it is sometime.
Mr. Mayor,
Right here.
Yes, sir.
the committee has met for several months now, working on the municipal judges, and we have hired two new and have Judge Mangum carried over, and we'd like to recommend the hiring for a 4-year term of Renee Lipscomb for municipal judge position. She is currently employed at Courts Administration and gave an outstanding interview to the committee, and I think she will have a great impact on the court, the municipal court. So I'd move that we approve Renee Lipscomb for municipal judge.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a motion and a second? Any further discussion? And that's for immediate. correct?
Yes, well, as soon as we can get her 2 weeks, she's got to get sworn in and go to school.
Yes, sir. She'll have to be sworn in, and she'll be able to start April 17th.
Right.
What's that
But
date
it's
again?
effective April 1st. Renee Lipson, and she's actually here today.
She's actually here. Renee, you want to?
Congratulations. With that, Madam Clerk, let's make it official.
All right. Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Do we need to do the last paragraph on that too?
No. No. We're good.
What you want to do here,
So we're in,
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I think it would be good if you would at least extend the term of the one.
Judge Morgan.
I'm sorry.
Judge Morgan
Oh,
extended
yeah,
his term because we
extending.
terminated the other, his
So-
term.
We have a motion to extend the term of Judge Morgan.
So move.
We got a motion, a second.
Second.
Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
And at this time, if there are any city council committee referrals, reports, and new business, to include item 22, the grocery delivery program, the Honorable Daniel J. Rickaman, Mayor.
I'm going to take the grocery delivery program quickly. We want to try a pilot program. There are several delivery services that provide probably close to 99% of our community delivery. And we'd like to put some money, we're going after some grant money, but we'd like to take some of the resilience funds that we have left and to do a pilot program and see what kind of response we get. This would allow us to help somebody through our Parks and Recs sign up for free delivery, so unlimited free delivery. And there's a multitude of retailers who provide that. We would pay the fee for that yearly fees to allow them to get free delivery. So at least as we continue to build up density and encourage more growth in our community so that we can get a full-time bricks and mortar, at least we're trying something to get groceries in people's houses. I think we're going to continue. I know Ms. Herbert and her committee are working on the RFP for the fresh mobile market, which will be part of it, but people still need staples. They still need items, everything from toilet paper to milk to other things that a fresh fruit market can't deliver. So we want to try this program and see. So hopefully we'll come back and have completely run out of money and ask for more. But there's an opportunity for us to try something in a pilot program and at least know that people can get fresh groceries delivered to their home without having to take a bus or anything else, and try to take that inconvenience out. So we'll be working on this pilot program. I'd like to put it on the agenda in April at the appropriate time when the city manager, and that we'll have out exactly how the program will work, how you sign up, and how we'll do the pilot. But I just wanted to bring it forth so that we could move it to the agenda in April.
So
And
we're
that's
not
with a
voting on it today?
specific dollar amount.
Yeah, we want to
look
do a
at-
pilot program at $10,000. We want to see what kind of sign up and turnout we get. But we are in the process of filing for a grant as well.
Okay.
To further that program, because the idea is that hopefully as people begin to learn about the option, have the ability to do it and see the ease of it, that it grows so that people do have an option. You know, we talk a lot about food deserts and some of our disparities out there, but if we got a delivery service and we can help, this is the quickest way we can do something to try to make a difference. So I think it's worth the try.
Do we need to confer with food policy?
I don't think so.
Should there be some interaction with them?
Well, we're going to have to run it through our best point of getting it to people is through our Parks and
All right.
Recs, and so I think we want to utilize that system
So we're
that
gonna
we
do
have.
Parks and Rec, okay.
Yes, sir. We're going to work with our Parks and Recs Foundation to make this happen.
All right.
Can you, Mayor, can you mention again what you said about how this aligns with the mobile market?
Well, one of the things of the mobile market, if you remember in it, there's a lot to deal with small farmers working with different fresh vegetables and fruits, but the staples is what people talk about needing the other day. They still got to go to the grocery store. They still have to get the items that are needed. And so if we can make sure that they can get their meats and fishes and get everything else they can on top of that at no cost and a way to get it to them, I think it's worth trying. I really do. Are there any other committee reports? Mr. Ball?
I've got a referral.
Referral?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to refer to the administrative committee, the section 2-7 dealing with the election of the mayor pro tem. When we redid the ordinances in 2016, I think we did not look at this close enough. Our intention was that the organizational meeting of the council would be held at the first meeting in January following a general election. And this says that the mayor pro tem will be elected at the first meeting in January, but to serve for a term of 1 year. I think we should change that 1 year to serve for a term of 2 years so that it would be, the mayor pro tem would be elected at each organizational meeting every 2 years as the council elects and appoints the committees that will be in place for the 2 year between general elections. So I'd like to refer Section 2-7 to the Administrative Committee for review.
I think that's appropriate. I will tell you, after serving multiple terms here at the city, that our attempt to rotate it on an annual basis was so that we could get more people involved and share the role, which is what I think is the purpose of our job, and not trying to put people into two-year periods. And I hope that the committee will come back with that support, because I would like to see everybody rotate through. And I think it gives an opportunity to make sure that all voices are heard, not just the person that a few people want.
Which committee? Administrative?
Administrative Committee.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Brennan.
I'd like to call a meeting in April for the Arts, Historic, and Philanthropy Committee for an annual update from our local arts agency partner, One Columbia.
Do you have a date in
We said it initially, didn't we, Will?
I think Ms. Hammond, we are
April 4th.
April 4th.
Any other referrals? Any new business?
Mr. Brennan's committee will meet April 4th at 1 o'clock.
What time?
1 o'clock.
Is there any new business? Any other business? That puts us to public input.
All right, Mayor Rickaman, we have Mr. Donovan Davis signed up to speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Donovan Davis. I'm actually a retired veteran of the Air Force. Me and my family, we just moved here from New Jersey about a year and a half ago, mainly because my best friend is from South Carolina, and he said this is one of the best places in the world for retired veterans to come to. And so far, I have to say that I agree with just about everything that he said. However, there's one thing that I've noticed that I can't really explain that I wanted to share with everybody today. So I'll just get right into the quick story. 3 days ago, well, let me back up. I take my daughter to school every morning, and we travel through our neighborhood, out of our neighborhood, and we see litter, we see trash, we see garbage scattered across the roads, scattered on the shoulders, and it's there, and then a few days later, it's gone. Somebody comes and picks it up. I guess it's the city. And then a week or so later, there it is again. Litter, trash, diapers, beer cans, whatever, in some of the similar locations. And it's happened repeatedly over the past year and a half that I've witnessed. The other day, my daughter and I were coming home from school, and we noticed a car driving out of an apartment complex, and the car had bags of garbage, trash bags, on top of its hood. And as it turned and went down the road and sped up and was getting ready to get on the interstate, the trash bags fell on the ground. It fell on the roadways. And another car slammed into it, and voila, you got trash everywhere. And I was like, wow. So I stopped, took some pictures, saw what it was. I was not, putting baby poop on my hands. And I went to the apartment complex, and I said, hey, I just saw this thing happen. Can you all let your folks know that that's not okay? That's not fair to the rest of the community for them to be doing that. And they tried to explain that, okay, some people do it and they forget. I said, okay, well, it's not okay. Not okay. And so I went on the blog. I went to Next Door, and I was, a little passionate about this, and I shared it with the community, and I'll wrap it up here. I got 4,000 hits, 50 or so comments of people who have the same experience and who have the same concerns that this is not okay for our community. And so, end of the story is that beautiful city, beautiful people, most people want to do the right thing, but this is not okay.
and we need to find a solution to curb this behavior. It's illegal, as far as I know, and it's demeaning, and it's bullying, and it's intimidating some of the community members to the point that they want to leave. You know, a lot of the comments I got say, you know what, let's go to Ormo, let's go to Lake Murray. You know, this is not what we signed up for. So I'm here today to share this with you all, and hopefully we can come up with some solutions to fix this. I have a couple. It may or may not make sense. Quickly. We need to put some signs up. Please don't litter. How about putting some cameras up? Okay, if you do it, there should be some consequences. And also, how about these complexes being held accountable for their residents who are doing this? Let them know that you're gonna be held accountable for some of the fees that we incur, because somebody has to clean this up. So those are my comments. I appreciate your time, Mayor. I know you're a big proponent of beautification, so
It makes me,
I appreciate your
I
support.
ride around every day, and it turns my stomach because I go to the same places where people dump. And, well, two things I'll let you know. We're going to have a massive cleanup here, we're announcing on the 30th, throughout the city, and trying to get every business, every neighbor, everybody engaged to really have a one-time cleanup. The other thing we're doing is we're working with the legislature. We need them to give us the ability to up the fines so that we can go after, because we start giving out $1,500 tickets, it'll curb a lot of that. And I get it, but any information, anything you see, please share it with us, because we want to address it, because it is a problem. It is a problem throughout, and to be honest, since the pandemic is when we've seen this increase, and we've got to curb it. But we have a lot of people illegal dumping, people throwing stuff in the back of their truck, not realizing, and some people who just simply don't care and throw it down. So we're going to continue to do everything we can, but we're going to have to work with our communities together. But hopefully the cleanup will get it in, and hopefully we'll get some ability to raise the fines to go after this. But unfortunately, you're not the only one who's experiencing that, and I wish we had a better way to stomp it out right away, but we're going to continue to work together. And thank you for taking the time, because I do think it's important for people to hear it from other people than just us. But it's a problem, and it's not who we are.
Okay, well, I love South Carolina. I'm not originally from here, but I brought my family here to enjoy all the goodness. And that one little thing is driving me nuts. Right?
And then it gets
there's
worse.
a solution.
Yes.
I would like to be a part of it. If there's another committee or somewhere that I should go and point this towards, I just didn't know where else to go, so I brought it here.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time.
Mayor, Dr. Javon Miller, known as Mama G,
Mama G.
has signed up to speak.
It's been a while.
Good afternoon. 3 administrations. I feel really good. I've survived that long. I'm 70 years old now, and it's a privilege and an honor to still be able to serve the city of Columbia. Presently, I have
Desmond Davis, Rich Mentor.
one of our rich mentors, top level, and I want to make a very quick statement that Mr. Simons is so supportive of Mama G's creativity. Mr. Davis, I thank everybody in the city of Columbia, because we would not have a state resolution given by South Carolina Representative Heather Davis. I got to stand there, and, you know, it was really exciting, but it would not have happened without my community. So I thank you very, very much for all your support for the RICH program. We will continue to serve our young people, especially in anti-violence. We serve as the community service location for young people for the courts. In your bag is a quick little outline, and that way I can still save my time and not go over, get the red button. I just don't have words for this, but I have heartfelt. A lot of elders don't get that opportunity to see something like this. Are there any quick questions about Rich or Kuru or, we've been
Mama
around
G,
now
we just
for
thank
23
you for what you do.
Thank
And you
you.
continue to do it. You keep going. Congratulations on your honor from the legislature. It's well-deserved.
Thank you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate what you do in our community.
And City Manager, thank you very much for all your support, and Miss Erica. We do travel now throughout the state serving elders in what is called self-preservation, to be aware of things, especially in regard to anti-violence. We just came back from Augusta, and we go to Aiken tomorrow to serve.
Mama G, you are a legend in our community, and I
thank you,
am
sir.
grateful for that. I'm glad you're here today without your swords. I've seen an exhibit, and it's a kill shot every time you swing that sword.
Well, I'm here
Thank-
to serve.
Yes,
I'm here,
ma'am.
I'm the City of Columbia bodyguard.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you
The
very
time
much.
you've spent in Parks and Recs, thank you so much. And you're not 70 years old.
Yes, sir, I am.
You're 70 years young.
I appreciate
The Lord
that.
ain't through with you yet. Thank you, Mama J.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Please enjoy.
No one else has signed up.
Is there anyone else that'd like to speak? Going once, going twice? I'll entertain a non-debatable motion.
So move
to
we adjourn. Another record.
Ms. Herbert? Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.